Hi everybody, Josselyn here. We're going to do a quick little movement break today, all standing. Let's get going. Just so you know, I'm going to be changing my orientation from front to side so you can see a little bit better, but you can stay facing whatever device you're using if that's a little more comfortable and user-friendly for you. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start standing with my feet a little wider than hip distance apart, about shoulder distance apart, and I'm just going to take a moment, organize my pelvis, make sure my tailbone is angling slightly down on a back diagonal, pubic bone is pulled up, my ribs are right over my pelvis to start. One hand to the top of the head, one hand back onto the sacrum. I'm going to bend my knees and they're going to stay bent. Exhale, rounding the head and tailbone, pulling the belly button into the front of the spine. Inhale, arch. Just finding a nice, easy standing cat-cow. Starting to mobilize your spine. Not a lot of detail today. Just moving and just breathing. Two more. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. One more. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, and then finding neutral, come up to stand. Take my feet even a little bit wider, so a little wider than my shoulders even. I'm gonna start to bend through one knee, let my head cascade down to that side. Feel my fingertips kind of dragging along my shin and then peeling the spine back up. Focusing more on kind of mobilizing right around that waist area. Sometimes we tend to get really tight and bogged down. My ribs are definitely moving. My head is leading, spine is following, and I'm still keeping organized in my pelvis and in my abdominals, just so I'm not going into a sneaky back bend, really going for a nice full side bend. Two more each side, over, going as far as you like. So this range feels good to me, but you do what feels good to you. Over, and over. Coming up and then bringing my feet kind of inner hip distance apart or sitting bone distance apart. I'm going to go ahead and take my hands behind my head, pull up on the base of the skull, drop the ribs, lift the pubic bone up, and I'm going to rotate and rotate. So really concentrating on thoracic or upper back rotation here. So I'm imagining my belly button is staying facing forward. So I'm not really twisting necessarily from my waist, or that's not what I'm thinking about. Thinking about twisting from kind of the area where my shoulder blades are. Just one more each side. Rotate, rotate. Standing tall, I'm going to take a side bend, feeling my elbow reach up to the ceiling, and then rotating forward over to the other side and up. So a little thoracic circle. Upper back circle, feeling my shoulder blades broaden. Nice movement through my upper ribs. Breathing. Legs strong, abs active, other side. Down and around. And letting the head respond to the movement. And around. And back up. I'm going to go facing side again. I'm going to bring my feet about outer hip distance apart. Okay, and then I'm going to take my hands down alongside the body and I'm going to gently press my hips forward. So thinking about opening through the front of my hips, getting those hip flexors to lengthen, but still keeping nice and solid in my pelvis, ribs down. Starting to go back for a parallel squat, sending my hips back, arms forward, and then arms press, and then hips open. A little bit of activity right where my glutes meet my hamstrings. 9 more. Back and up. Neutral pelvis, neutral spine. And thinking about lots of weight in my heels here. So that's how we get the glutes to kick on. It's also a little healthier for the knees. So you can think about your shins staying perpendicular to your mat, or your knees staying a little more over your heels. 3 more. Letting my eyes follow where my spine is going. So I'm not trying to look up, but trying to let my head reflect what my spine is doing. Staying down on my last one, I'm going to gently press my hands to my knees, sit my weight back a little bit more, zip up my abdominals, and feel a little more length in the front of my spine. I'm going to reach one arm up and down. So this is in lieu of back extension, laying on your tummy on the mat. So think about how that musculature in your upper back can help support you here. And again, if your arm only goes up this high without your neck getting involved unnecessarily, that's cool. One more, sitting back a little further. And up, standing up tall. I'm gonna take my hands behind my head. I'm gonna sit back into that nice little squatté position. I'm gonna start to rotate. So a little deeper muscular activity than rotation and standing. Still pulling those low abdominals in, long through the back, long through the tailbone, wide through the sitting bones, talking through the burn. One more each side. And up, and then come to stand up tall. I'm going to separate my legs pretty wide front to back. So you might have to wiggle into this position a little bit, getting my pelvis organized, and then sitting down into this active hip flexor psoas stretch. Whatever leg is forward, take that hand and put it on your thigh and kind of press your thigh forward. So you're trying to lift your pelvis, lift your pelvis off of your femur bones. Send the opposite arm up to the ceiling. Little mini side bend, holding for 3, 2, 1, and then come out of there. Same leg that was back, you're going to cross that leg forward over the opposite knee and sit down. So if balance is a good challenge for you, great if you're doing this in your kitchen, you can just hold on to the counter or a wall or your office chair or house plant or something. Breathe. And coming up, second side. So active stretch positions, kind of multitasking a little bit here, a little bit of strengthening, a little bit of stabilizing, a little bit of stretching. Get it all done. A little side bend away from that back leg. Keep the ribs and the pelvis nicely connected in the front. A little shake in my back leg there. And then come out of it. And then standing figure 4 stretch. So I'm going to cross the ankle over the knee. I'm going to sit back. Remembering that squat position I did before, not letting my ribs splay. I just felt that happen. Gathering it in, staying long through my tail, and then noticing if that hip wants to crash down. See if I can stay nice and level across my pelvis and sitting bones. And then coming up. Sending my legs even a little wider than I did for that side bend towards the beginning of the series. I'm going to take my hands right to where my femur bones meet my pelvis. I'm going to start to cut my pelvis over one direction, one side. So I'm burying that femur bone into my pelvis. I'm going to start to bend the opposite knee and then gently send my arm up and over my ear. So I'm going for an inner thigh stretch. And what we call medial glide of that femur bone. So it's burying inside of the pelvis. Really good for cranky low backs. Other side, cutting the pelvis under first, and then bending the opposite knee, taking some weight there. Firm up through the knee, neutral through the pelvis, and then up and over. Breathe. Totally reasonable to expect one side will feel very different than the other. Fine. All good information to have. Coming back up, bring the feet back into a comfortable parallel position. A little nerve glide through the arms. So you're going to start to send the pinkies forward. You're going to carve the arms forward, flexing your palms, swipe the sides of the room, opening through the chest, and then down. So if that feels reasonable to you, you're going to come up, reach the arms up, swipe the sides and maybe the back of the room. And then carving up, a little bit up, little arm dance, swiping and going down. From there, staying up tall, nod the chin to the chest. Feel the crown of the head leading, unweighting the spine. Taking a roll down, bending the knees if you need to. Quickly glancing at your alignment down here. Knees, feet, make sure they're all facing straight forward. Let the head hang. Bend your knees, pull your abdominals up away from your thighs. Lots of weight in your heels. And stack the spine up, up, up. Shoulders settle. Chin lifts until it's parallel to the ground. And there we have it. Resume your day, and I'll see you next time.